We are live another Founder Wisdom podcasting episode slash edition, my favorite, with Ryan R Sullivan. He is the founder of Podcast Principles and also Bop Cast. Love the name Bop Bop. It's a nice syllable to pronounce for the brain. He's also a DJ, an MC, aka rapper. So if we are lucky today, we're gonna get a rap and
Yeah, we'll see what we can
biddy
do.
bee bop biddy do. Let's get this rolling, Ryan. Tell us a bit more
Cool.
about yourself and your companies.
Yeah, man. So I started this in 2018 with a podcast that you just mentioned called Bopcast. Appreciate the love on the name. Changed the name 6 episodes in. Pretty sure that was a good idea. A guest actually requested it, and now 5 years later, he's my life coach, and he's helped me out a lot. So take the advice. The audience and the guests are going to tell you what's good and what's not. But yeah, man, started with my own podcast in 2018. Went through a lot of ups and downs. I've done 16 to 20 different jobs. I worked as a full-time mechanic, left blue collar, went into white collar. Didn't really love that. Worked for a failed marketing agency. Left that failed marketing agency in 2020. In February 2020, in March 2020, I decided to start Podcast Principles. So basically do what I was doing for one company, but for multiple people and create. I didn't know I was going to make an agency. I thought I was just going to be a freelancer. And then, yeah, man, now I'm here. Fast forward, we got a team and we help people launch their podcasts and basically, help launch podcasts that you enjoy creating and that don't suck.
You sort of look like Shia LaBeouf. Did anyone ever told you that?
Yeah, about 100 times. Yep.
Okay, so I'll be the
I
101.
appreciate that. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's look good. It's a compliment. Shia, is quite emotionally unstable, but yeah, it's tough to be an actor and get the
Yeah,
spotlight.
it's interesting. I mean, his in that video of like, just do it. Like, I feel like I could totally just rip that and just make my own version, and that
Just
would be
do it.
pretty
I'm
funny.
gonna, yeah, listen to that one again. But I remember he was getting like frustrated. Oh yeah, the traps. The traps are definitely there, flexing these traps. Um, yeah, I'm gonna
Get
listen
out
to
here.
that one again. But talking about fame, I mean, I see Rob Dyrdek here. I see the exotic car guy. Tell me about like some of the best guests or clients that you had and what you learned from them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Dyrdek specifically, he's somebody that I looked up to because of just his shows, his TV shows. I was, just a fan of the shows as a kid. Rob and Big, Rob's Fantasy Factory. I just watched these shows with my friends, and then I've been in this podcast kind of content media industry for a little while now, and I had been listening to his podcast. I just went on the website, applied to be a guest. He had me on as a guest, and that's really kind of the story. But it was just full circle, man. Like, I just had my homie, my best friend, sitting next to me during the interview, and got like, it wasn't like I was on the podcast and then I didn't get, and I got just generic advice. Like, I got advice that I actually used, and then what I did was I met Gary Vee for the second time, and I asked Gary Vee the same question that I asked Rob to see what their answers would be. So every time I find somebody who's kind of at this level, I ask them this certain question, and then just because I want to learn their answer, and it's been crazy, man. So, and then I've worked on celebrity podcasts. I actually started on a celebrity podcast. It wasn't, the host was kind of a B-list celebrity, but then he had A-list celebrities on, like NFL players and people from the Food Channel and stuff like that. So that was fun. That was cool. That podcast died out too, and then I very recently worked on the biggest celebrity podcast I ever worked on that seems like they're now never going to launch it. So that's unfortunate, and I can't tell you who it is, but that world to me is very cool. It works well at dinner parties, but the it's usually a shit show.
Yeah, I know that. For example, the Mike Tyson podcast, they had like Evan Britton and they boxed him out. He was so good. He talks about that too. And yeah, celebrities, I never want to be a fucking celebrity. Like, it's so messy. It's most of the time there's a lot of fakeness as well. There's very few heart, there's very few loyalty and something that you can stick to.
Well,
Um,
people who would be real with you are now not real with you because because you have status, right? So if
right.
you're not a celebrity, people just, okay, you're a regular guy, so let's have a regular conversation. But the second somebody says, "Oh, that's that guy," now everything's changed, right? So it's like, yeah, it's odd. It's like you're the same person, but people all view you differently because they know you from one thing that you did. It's like, yeah, it's such a weird existence. That's a whole podcast in that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you had that yourself, but me, I had my heroes, quote unquote, and then I talked to them, and all of a sudden they weren't my heroes anymore because
Now
they.
you're like, dude, I get as many views as Rob Dyrdek on my podcast. What the hell? No, I
Yeah, it's
don't,
not
but
just that. It's like their advice, and
Mhm.
they are like pretty unstable. Then you find out that they're full of M's and U's, and they're fully edited, and yeah, just it's not even wishing it. It's like I shouldn't put these people on a pedestal. That's what I understood running this pod this year, that
Mm.
humans will be humans. Some humans are extremely good at in some life areas and in some specific business areas, for example, but yeah, they're incredibly bad in some others. Generally speaking, energy kind of equals itself in this physical world. So if you invest tons in there, you're gonna suck in this other area. Obviously, there's systems and bots that you can get into and get somewhat leveled or equal in these life areas. But yeah, just interviewing these folks and learning from them. I learned, sure, but was mostly disappointed.
Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
Your pods, I love the terms that you use, like B what did you say? A level and B level or guests? Because I call them tier
Yeah.
one, tier two. A
Yep.
level,
Yep.
A list celebrity, I believe you used
Hmm.
as a term.
Yeah.
So, okay, I called them tier one, tier two, tier three. I get mostly tier three. That's like my 90%. And maybe I get 8% tier two. I don't think I have got tier one yet. I told you that I wanted to go the Joe Rogan direction. I'm gonna start prospecting, quote unquote, aka reaching out to these A grade celebrities to have a nice and long conversation with them, Joe Rogan style. What do you think should be my strategy regarding this? Should it be like 20% A level, 30% B level, and 50% C level? What do you think about that?
Well, here's how I look at it, right? Like, you can take the biggest celebrities in the world. I'm not telling you that Matthew McConaughey is easy to book on a podcast. One of my clients have been trying for 6 or 12 months or whatever to book celebrities of that type of status, and I know it takes time and it's difficult. But the reality is, or the way that I see it, is that if you have 100 A-list celebrities, right? Let's look at just big names. 80% of them are completely booked, busy, maxed out. 10 of them, right? So let's take the 80 out, right? So now we're left with 20. In those 20, 10 of them are just wrapping up a show or just wrapping up the last season of a thing they did. And then there's another 10 who are kind of like literally waiting around for stuff to happen. That's just everybody. That's just life. If you take 100 people, some people are super busy, some people are waiting for the next thing, whatever. So that when it comes to celebrities and booking these people on the podcast, which I'm starting to do too, I had a show where I was interviewing rappers for like 2 years, that lived in the state that I live in. I had a local show. Now I'm going global with it, so I'm kind of in a similar position as you. I email managers and agents, and I expect nothing. And some of them get back. Some of the most surprising ones get back and have a conversation with you. So I don't know about the split. It depends what your goal is for this podcast. That's going to determine, like, if I was working, if you were, if we were working together, the first thing that I would do is I would ask you, what do you want this podcast to do for you? And then we would reverse engineer everything from that answer. So it's not a should I have 30 of them or 10 of them or five. It's what do I want this podcast to be, and why? And then what do I want that to do for me? What's my ideal life and how does this fit into it? Because as you know, this is a lot of work. So and a lot of time that you're not going to get back. So you want to make sure it's worth your while. But in terms of back to the question, like there's no answer to that split. It just depends what you want. But in terms of what I'm doing, I just have a list and I just go down the list just like it's sales. And I make my
Yeah.
follow-ups. And if I have a list of 30, I expect to book 5 or 10. And if I did, then I'm doing my job.
So I have an outreach edge. I'm not the best interviewer yet, but I can get an A list very quickly. Very good at that. Where should I get these celebrity lists, and where? That's one, and two. The rappers are a subgenre of that nowadays. I'm reaching out to music CEOs. It's mostly business focused, right? And sports CEOs, so that I can talk to their athletes afterwards. That's my second offer. But the Charles Cormier show, let's call it that way. Yeah, where should I get my rappers list, and where should I get my celebrities list? Is it manual?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it manually. You're probably better at the cold like email and prospecting and gathering emails side than me. I literally just use what everybody else would use. I use website, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So usually they're management. Like I'll take for example, there's a guy who I'm booking right now who was on HBO. He had an HBO series. It's going on right now, the HBO series. I went on his website. I found like somebody he works with, added them on LinkedIn. They didn't answer me. But I just went on his website, and at the bottom of one of the pages, it had an email. So I emailed the email, and a day later, both his management got back to me, and they're like, "Here's what we need to move forward," and that was it. That's all I do. So if I can't find it on the website, then I'll try to find the management company. With artists, you go to their label, and their label website will typically have the owner or the manager of the label, and then that person manages them probably for their press. So that's kind of how artists work. YouTube also works because you can have an email on the YouTube. Sometimes they have the email of the management on the YouTube. I did a test where I emailed 100 YouTubers with over like 1 million subscribers, and I think maybe 5 got back to me. One of them didn't have management out of the 100, and like the other ones that did, their managers were like not having it. I was trying to sell them stuff though. I wasn't trying to like book them on the podcast. But then LinkedIn is probably the last one. The reality is like what everybody says, dude. Find the platform where they have the least amount of followers and then connect with them on there. I don't have any magic, dude. I don't have any cheat codes. You got more email secrets than I have. I find these people's email just like you. You probably even have a better email than me, but I have a super professional, well-written email that gets their attention. And I stole that from one of my guests. He forwarded me an email from a company, a very well-known record label that he worked for. I took out pieces of it that I really liked, customized it to myself, and that's all I do, bro. Numbers game.
Love it. Would you be open to trade some of your lists for some of my lists?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really even have them on lists, but I can anything you want, man. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I'm gonna sell you something now. You ready?
I've been ready, bro. I've been waiting.
Okay. It's like Hormozy, right? Do you listen to the guys like, and I don't have anything to sell you?
I'm literally before I recorded this podcast, I recorded my video series, which is podcast producer reacts to The Game by Alex Hormozy. I just recorded that episode.
The game. So what's the game? I
The
heard
Game's
about
his
this book.
podcast, but it's basically The Game is his podcast, and then the um, and then the YouTube channel kind of matches up with that. But I have some pretty. I can't share my critiques right now because the video is going to have to come out in a couple weeks. But anyway,
Right.
yes, it's funny. I have nothing to say. He did redact all that. I don't know if you know that. But
Redact the full pod, or
no, he redacted the statement. He was like, "I'm sorry, I apologize. I do have something to sell you," which is a
yeah.
$1 ebook.
Huh.
But like, I get it, but it's like you don't have to fucking say that. I don't care if you have to if you're trying to sell me something. I don't get offended.
Hmm.
I get pissed off if you're trying to sell me something in the wrong context.
Right.
If you're trying to sell, if you have an ad on your own podcast that appears 30 minutes in and you go, "Hey, are you trying to launch, are you trying to like send cold emails and like, do you have trouble with prospecting? I have a cold email sequence for you.
Yeah.
Go in the blah, blah, blah and download it." Okay, back
Yeah.
to the show. That's
Yeah.
not annoying,
Yeah.
you know?
I
So
was about to say that's like level 3, but Alex is definitely more than level 3. So why does he keep doing it? Because I have the same opinion as you. Fucking hate it when he says like I don't have.
there's
Actually,
a lot
stop.
of
He
things
stopped
that I
saying
do.
it. And I think it's because of me, right? Because I tagged him on Twitter saying it was
Yeah,
bad. So
bro. That was all
definitely
because of
my
you.
fault.
I have other criticisms. That's not the biggest one. But yeah, that's one of them where I'm like, it's all good, bro. Like
Yeah.
whether you have something everybody's selling something,
There you
whether you
go.
want my time or whether you want my money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Oh
on this
yeah.
podcast right now. Like you sold me on that. Here I
Yeah.
am, right?
And time and energy is gonna be more valuable in this future. You and I, we talked about AGI, so you know that my mind wanders like 20, 30, 50 years in the future. That time and
Mm.
energy is going to be a currency. Another currency is going to be the value added.
Yep.
So if I add value to you, I'm going to be richer. Um, yeah, I love Mosey. I love criticizing him because he's the GOAT, right?
He is a goat. Yeah.
So yeah,
He's doing what he, in my opinion, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, all of them combined, that's Hormozy.
hmm,
Tony Robbins with the massive 30,000 people on a
yeah, yeah,
webinar. Gary
yeah.
Vee, you could start from the beginning. Cardone, all about spending money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Rock, larger than life. Boom.
And then Mr. Beast, I would add to that.
And I would add, yeah, yeah, but not as much because Mr. Beast, he's actually not like Mr. Beast at all. Mr. Beast did all this from, I mean, Alex did it from nothing for sure, but Alex did it in paid ads marketing.
Mhm.
Mr. Beast is he's the genius mastermind. Like
Yeah.
Alex has it. Not that Mr. Beast doesn't have a team. That is
Mhm.
still a good one. I'm
Yeah.
probably arguing myself out of my own point,
Yeah.
but
Well, past Mosey is, yeah, to your point, but present Mosey, I can tell you that he is the good chunk of present Mosey is Mr. Beast.
yeah, no, for sure, especially with the YouTube side.
Yeah, and he's very impressive. Now,
But he doesn't. Everything's different. Yeah, everything's like like Mr. Beast is like he's doing like Publishers Clearinghouse. Like he's
yeah,
basically like you could win $1 million. Hormozy is more like no, like you can do the work, but there's
yeah.
like ways to do the work. So yeah, they all have their own nuances.
It'll be interesting also because Alex, one thing, well, it might be a super good thing actually. It is that he's selling to small businesses. Me, for example, I'm targeting mostly CEOs that are already making bank big time. CEOs make an average of 600K a year. That's mostly my audience, but Alex, it seems like it's, scaling a plumbing business. Um, so my comment on that is like, okay, if he wants to Mr. Beast, might work with these types of folks, but yeah, me, I'd love to be the Mr. Beast of CEOs. Now it disqualifies the full premise because yeah, well, I don't want to hijack the attention of CEOs. I don't think they have an ADHD brain that's stimulated by every 3 seconds rehook them their attention, or at least I'd like to think about it. Um, am I wrong in thinking that, or like all brains are becoming TikTok zombie brains?
No, I mean it has nothing to do with attention spans. It's just boring content. Nobody wants to watch boring content because the people if you go on TikTok, you are bored of a video that's over a minute long. That's because you're watching TikTok after work when you have nothing else to do and you want dopamine hits. If you're on YouTube, you're now ready to watch a video that's 5 or 10 minutes. You don't click on a video that's 10 minutes and you're like, this guy sucks, dude. This video is too long. No, you're ready. If you're downloading audiobooks on Audible, you're ready for an audiobook that's 10 hours long because that's the context that you're in. So it all depends on the context. Like podcast, I mean, I hate using Joe Rogan as an example, but it's like, dude, people will sit there and listen to it for 3 hours. I will. I'm a fan, and there's like 10 million other people who also do it. So it's like it has nothing to do with the duration. It's all about the context.
Right. So Alex also has the podcast, yeah, and GRE has these shorter vids. They're still pretty long, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's a genius strategy though. Joe did really well with that.
Yeah. So are you ready to be sold?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I have this masterminds called level96.com, and it's free. And it would be 4 or 5 like high level podcasters on a call, and we would exchange every month UI and like 3 to 4 other cool podcasters and or SaaS podcasting CEOs. Would you be down to attend?
I don't really do things like that, but I would think about it. Yeah.
Think
I
you'd be a
won't
good
commit to
fit?
it right now. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be a part of anything that anybody really wants me to be a part of. So that's
Hmm.
normally my rule.
Yeah, that's a good reflex. I have that reflex too.
But I get it. Like I get it. I know podcast producers that would want to do like I would probably I need to invest my time probably. By the way, my success on any of the podcast YouTube stuff has not been from collaborating with other people. It's been from me just continuing to make episodes. So I'd almost rather take that hour or 2 hours or whatever it is and just make a better script for my podcast episode or whatever. So that's my,
Mm.
that's my reflex. So I won't give you a no, but I won't give you a yes.
And what if like this 30-minute we would drop like massive insights, suggest softwares, keep you accountable, support you?
I already have accountability. I hate softwares. I'm not an early adopter in anything. I really don't want to
Oh.
know what anybody else is doing. I've unfollowed most podcast producers that I know. I'm like
Mm.
kind of the guy who's like, yeah, I make music and I don't listen to music. You know, like that's kind of what I'm going to become.
All right.
But that's what works for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I don't need more options. I need
yeah.
less options and less advice. That's everybody wants to give me fucking advice. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, well, I'd love to have you on because you're like high value added, and yeah, and I mean, you're not necessarily giving advice, but I'm getting advice just by listening to you.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's a tough sell.
I
Just
do
like
things
as
like this. Like if it's like a one-time thing or like a webinar or a podcast, this is the things that I do. That's
yeah.
kind of what I do. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to tell you about the other angle to it and why it's free. We record these and produce content out of it. Are you sold now?
That's nice. No, that's good. I produce content too. I'm with it. I'll check it out. I mean, I'm down to
Yes.
like look
Why
into
did
it.
I forget like the most important part? So the premise behind that is like the All In podcast.
Hmm.
Do you
Okay.
listen to that one?
No.
It's pretty fucking good. It's David Sachs, Calicanis, Palapatia, and whatever his name is, David. They're all billionaires basically, and VC Silicon Valley type, and it's pretty
Okay.
fun. It's pretty conversational. They diss one another. Not saying that we would. It's pretty childish to diss someone. Um,
I think it's more fun. I think that's the most fun thing about podcasting.
Dissing people live.
Yeah, it's the
Hmm.
best. That's
Yeah,
why I'm roasting Alex
depend
Ramosi.
on your net level of friendships. Yeah, I could agree with
Yeah.
that.
Well, it
But there's
depends.
over
Yeah, it's
dissing
all
too.
about human beings.
Yeah,
It's all about. Well, hey, if the diss is accurate, then you're set. Then you're good. If you
yeah.
can't argue it, like, hey, dude, like you look like a freaking Amish person because your beard is too wide. All right. Well, if that's accurate, then that's a great diss.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you're like on a higher emotional level, but you can fall into this trap too, and overdo it. Makes me think of my high school days. Can you drop a rap like to finish this off?
Call me the postman because I always deliver. I got the rhyme so cold, probably making you shiver. My mind unlocked two codes when it's taking a little. My brain cells are brittle, form a circle like skittle and get between it like middle, so I could kill with these riddles. But I still chill little, Charles.
Yeah, my man, that was good. Since when have you been rapping?
Since like maybe 2015, I don't know, 8 years.
Hmm. Did you ever get paid for it?
Yeah, I've been paid for it. I mean, features, live shows, that's what I've been paid to do. But I'm a DJ. That's what I normally get paid to do.
Okay. How much do you charge for
I
DJing?
mean, I do events. I do like weddings, so a couple
Yeah, I
grand,
have my wedding in 2 months. Maybe I can fly you in. I already have a DJ, but if he sucks too much.
I'd love to, man. Yeah, for sure. That's what I do, brother.
And what are your rates? I want to know.
It'll be like I don't know, $1,500 plus travel.
Okay. Wow, that's not expensive. That's like almost what he charges me. And then he quoted me and he doesn't even have the speakers. Is that fucked up, or should he have the full included package?
Well, are you hiring like a club DJ to do your wedding, or are you hiring a wedding company?
It's a club DJ.
Well, then he doesn't. I'm a wedding DJ. I'm
Yeah.
not a club DJ.
But you have your
I'm
speakers, right?
I'm a mobile DJ. Yeah, I'm not like I have an entire setup that I drive with me to the place. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's what I told him. Like it's
Yeah,
so
but
I,
like every time club DJ is basically they're not concerned with the nuances of your event.
hmm,
All they're concerned about is the music. To
okay.
me, the music is 30%. The event planning, the coordination, the ceremony, the intros, the outros, the speaking, the emceeing, that is 70%. That's what I do. That's what
Yeah.
I'm really good at, and I also do the music.
And you're
So
fucking entertaining. So yeah, I just love to have you there. Let's call it like a second or third wedding. I'll have you mix up and drop some raps.
word, yeah, sounds good.
For my man. Ryan, where can we find out more about you and your companies?
Yeah, Podcast Principles All platforms on that. LinkedIn, I post every single day, mostly twice a day. Ryan R Sullivan on there. If you just type in podcast coach, I'll come up, or Ryan Sullivan, I'll come up. That's every single day. And then YouTube, Spotify, audio is Bop Cast. So that was normally too many things for people to look up. So if you want to just look up my name
Yeah.
or my company, you'll find it for sure.
And I'm gonna add to the overload, not overlord, or am I an overlord? Yes, Charles
A
Cormier
little
is my
bit.
name. Your overlord, your future AI oligarch. And you can find us on founderwisdompodcast.com. And that is a wrap with Ryan Sullivan.